Hello and welcome to this video where we're going to discuss ClickAll Plus for the analytics validation use case. This is a very powerful tool that combines the scalability of audits with the flexibility and interactability of journeys to now give you scalable analytics validation across lots of different interactions on your website. So think about, for example, if you have forms on your website, ObservePoint could fill out all these forms. If you have elements in your header or footer that you need to test on a regular basis, you can now use ObservePoint to validate those clicks in the header and footer and run that on a regular cadence. You can test your internal search capability across multiple pages to make sure it's consistent. You could go to a product detail pages, tens of thousands of product detail pages, and validate, the add to cart button is working and events are firing, or specific links and other data on the page are being measured, how they should be measured. So super powerful solution, and it's a custom solution that ObservePoint has built to help customers get even more value out of our platform. I'm going to start by showing you the end result that we're going for. So we want to be able to scalably validate these interactions. And the example we're going to use today is validating the nav bar on ObservePoint's homepage. But we could add as many pages as we wanted here. We could add the entire index of ObservePoint's website, and we'd be able to validate the navigation on every single page if we wanted to. That's the power of the solution. For today, we'll just use the homepage. And I'll show you, here's an example of a rule that we're going to use to validate and test these things. And you can subscribe to this rule, receive alerts, and do a lot more with it. Okay, and the event that we're going to test at scale is the main menu click. So that's what we've called this event and how we're capturing inside of Google Analytics 4. So I want you to begin with the end in mind and have this picture of where we're headed. We're looking for this output. And then hopefully there aren't any rule failures, but ObservePoint would identify any failures that occur and also give you the benefit of saving you the testing of, in this case, 34 link clicks, but again, it could be thousands if you apply this across more pages. All right, I'm going to start by showing you this help doc, the ClickAll Plus Solution Implementation Guide, which we'll be constantly refining and improving over time. But this guide is going to step you through the process and show you how to implement it. It will also tell you how to configure it for your needs. There's only one section of code here that you're going to need to edit. It's really this section right here, and we'll show you in this guide how to edit it in detail. I'm going to give you the quick version, which is that you're going to provide a CSS selector to match the elements that you're targeting, that you want to interact with, and you're going to give it a label. And in this case, we call it targeted elements type. But we're going to just label that type of element. So I'll show you the example here in a second, how we fill those out. These other actions, these other settings or parameters are going to be optional, and you'll be able to go through the guide to read more about them. But basically, we can limit the number of interactions we do on a page. We can also extract HTML data that's there in the HTML. So there's an HTML attribute that you also want to pull in context. Very powerful application there. And then also we can customize the action to not just click, but also do other things like scroll on the page or fill out a form or do anything custom we want it to. The rest of the code below, we do not edit or modify. So I'm actually going to copy this whole script. I'm going to scroll to the bottom here. I'm going to copy this whole script. You can read more about those other parameters that I mentioned below. And then there's other configuration we're going to do in this video around the audit include list, making sure to prevent navigation for on-page actions, and then configuring these two to be collected as data layer objects. So I'm going to try to keep this brief, but you can go and read more about those here. Okay, so step one is to copy that code, and then we're also, step two is to get a CSS selector. So you can see I've actually, I'll clear that. You can see I've actually already found a CSS selector that matches these elements that I'm targeting on the page. Every element in the nav bar, clickable link in the nav bar. And so this event will fire, this Google Analytics 4 event should fire as I click on each of those events, and that's all I want to test on a regular basis to make sure it's consistently working. even when there are changes on the site. Okay, so I have the CSS selector. I'm actually going to copy that here in a second. But first I'm going to go over to ObservePoint. I'm going to create a new audit. So I'm going to hit this plus icon, click Create New, go to Web Audit, and then I'll name this ClickAll plus header, ClickAll plus header nav validation. I'll go to On-Page Actions. I'm going to paste this giant thing of code. So I'm going to select Add an Action, select Execute JavaScript, paste it in. I'm going to call it ClickAll nav items. Then I'll click Prevent Navigation. Don't forget that step. It'll make it. It'll prevent the audit from navigating to another page. So it'll just make the results a little bit cleaner and require fewer interactions. And also help. So when ObservePoint takes a screenshot of the page, the script is actually designed to highlight the element on the page. So it's important that you don't leave the page. In some cases, your analytics may not fire until the following page, and that's the exception where you can disable prevent navigation. Okay, there's two required fields here, the selector and then the targeted elements type. This is just a label. So I'll just say header nav item. And then the selector we're going to grab from our dev console here. So I'll copy that. Come back over, paste it in. And by default, we will be clicking on all elements that match the CSS selector. While I'm here, I need to show you how you can expand this. So this one audit could actually click on multiple element types when it sees it. So you could crawl thousands of pages, and if it sees header nav items, it will click them. If it sees add to cart buttons, it will click them. I'm just going to take this object and then paste it in here, and then all you do is modify that selector field. Let's just say, let's call it like button dot add to cart. Let's say it was a button with a class name of add to cart, and we can call this add to cart button. I recommend you do not add spaces here, just use camel case. It'll just make it more readable later on. Okay, so that's all you do to add additional action types. I'll go ahead and delete this for now because I'm not going to need that. I'm going to click OK. All right, the next step is in URL sources. We need to add some additional parameters here, but we need to start by adding the pages we're going to be scanning. So in this case, I'm going to put observepoint.com. Again, we could put hundreds of pages. In fact, I recommend taking your top traffic pages, pasting them in here, and scanning, validating the header and nav on those pages. The header nav on those pages. You can also limit the number of pages, but in this case, when you apply a scan limit, you're actually limiting the number of interactions. You're saying, okay, on observepoint.com, if there are thousands of links that match my CSS selector, I might need to set this to 5,000 to make sure it scans all 1,000 or 2,000 links. In this case, I know that there are about 36 interactions that are going to happen. So as long as I set it above 30, maybe 50, that would be fine. I'll just leave it at 100 for now, but we could set this to 10,000 if we're scaling lots of pages. I'm going to go ahead and grab the or make the edit to the include list that we mentioned earlier. So there's this piece of this snippet right here that you can grab from the help doc that we're going to need to add. What it does is it makes sure that ObservePoint visits pages that match this regular expression. And we're actually going to, you might think, oh, I don't have any pages that match that regular expression. That's because ObservePoint is going to create those pages with the on-page action. That's part of the magic in here. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and save that. I also do not apply deduplicate URLs. I think that would impact some of the results here. Otherwise, it should be good to go. Now, just to be clear, this is not going to crawl and find more pages beyond observepoint.com. You need to explicitly put more URLs in here if you want them to be included in your test. Just calling that out. Okay, so we should be good to save it. And then the last step we don't want to forget is make sure that the subfolder has these data layer objects, which are also in the help doc here, highlighted in white text. So make sure these are added. You just add them to this list of comma separated values. And these will just provide additional context and clues in the results. They're optional, but they do provide a lot of value. Okay, so now let's go to that end result. So I'm going to once we've run the audit, so we'll go ahead and run it. This audit, for context, took about 7 minutes, so very, very fast. And I'm going to go to tag and variable rules. And when we're starting, when we haven't done this step yet, we haven't added any rules. So actually, I'll go to just pages, and I'll click into any page. You'll notice in the URL we have this long query parameter that we've encoded here, and that's great. The only thing I want you to pay attention to is this. This is the context in the final URL and that we pass that is really helpful for creating rules. Let's say we had multiple types of click types. We wanted to be able to make sure we apply the rule for the correct click type, the correct event. So in this case, I'm going to go to tags. I'm going to look for I think it's main menu click is the name of the event that we have captured in Google Analytics 4. And I'm going to create a rule around the en variable. So I can just click create a rule. I'm going to find en. I'm going to say main menu click event and hit customize. I'm going to go to conditions and see we've already done the hard work. We now are validating that Google Analytics 4 fires. We have a specific account ID condition, and then we're also checking for en equaling main menu click. But I want to make sure, again, if there are multiple events on the page or multiple event types that we're validating with different CSS selectors, I want to make sure this targets just this one. So it's important that you create a condition and say if the final URL contains header nav item is what we called it in the on-page action. So that's what I'm going to do, and then I'm going to hit save. Okay, now you can hit reprocess rules and navigate to the tag and variable rules report. And you should be looking to see if there are any failures. Notice there was one page where this was not applied, and that's because on the home page, the page we provided, we do not have any query parameters that have the word header nav item in them. So that should be excluded. That's perfectly fine. That's expected. That's what we want. Now, in this case, all the tests pass, which is super powerful, right? We were able to validate that without having to click on 34 different elements on the page. We're able to automatically validate that they're all working and data is being collected properly. So huge time savings, especially when you apply this now across hundreds or thousands of pages and different event types. Okay, so from here, you're going to want to either create an alert or subscribe to notifications on this rule. And you're going to want to apply other types of interactions. You're going to add to that script, and you're going to add other interaction types. You're also going to want to add additional pages. Also, take note that other reports are going to be are going to be applicable just like before, even though the implementation is a little custom. So of those 34 interactions, I know that none of them result in a duplicate GA4 tag. So now I'm validating duplicates across 34 interactions or thousands even, and I don't, all I have to do is look at this one metric. You can also create alerts here and just filter them by the tag that you want. Okay, so that's it for this video. If you have additional questions, refer to that help doc or reach out to our support team. We'd be happy to help. Hope that you found this valuable and that you're excited to go and implement ClickAll Plus for your teams. Thanks for joining.